Welcome back to part 3 of cleaning the San Francisco 311 call data. I'm at line 139 here on the R script. We've gone through here and loaded up the data, loaded up the software. I have this San Francisco call table here. And so we'll start from line 139 and go forward. And so this is called Making Our Charts Less Ugly, and this is what we'll do. I'll expand this out so you can see what we're going on here. The basic point here is we've been making charts up to this point that are basic, but the labels don't translate the COP radio calls into English. And so that's the main thing. We need to have these charts kind of represent something that people can actually read and understand. So we're going to be working at first with the disposition column in San Francisco call data. Dispositions have all this han and additive and YouTube, like what is this stuff? Nobody knows, So going on that, we're going to manipulate this disposition column. And the first thing we want to do is copy the column and create a new name. So we're taking SF disposition and we're creating disposition 1. So it's just a copy of the column in there. And going back here, we'll find the disposition 1, you turkey. It should be disposition 1. Let's see. Yep. Disposition 1. Let's look at this bad boy again. Disposition 1. There it is. Disposition 1 we'll see is just been created at the far end of the data frame. Okay. Next, we're going to rename some of the strings, some of the words in the disposition 1. If we wanted just to do it for a couple, we could run this code here, and it's this command called str replace all. These are some of the text manipulation functions. Str, you can replace, you can delete, you can modify using it. There are various aspects of str. It's in the core part of R. So it's saying str replace all, and then what are you going to replace? Well, you got to tell it it's going to be the first column. This column here, SF disposition 1, and then we're going to replace the pattern. It's a fixed pattern called ABA. And then we're going to replace it with abated. And then dump it all back into the disposition 1 column. I'm going to run that thing. And then go back to the data frame here. And we should, let's see, just clicking on this and type in abated. We see abated is now here. We've renamed abated. Everything that was ABA in this column is now aligns with abated. So we've just renamed, how many of these damn things? Well, we've renamed 157 things, just like that. Okay, so it's just a massive find and replace operation. So that's the basic concept of what we're trying to do here. Find a string and replace it. And you could do it here with ADM, which is admonished. These are all coming from the San Francisco radio codes, the San Francisco police radio codes. Remember, they had all these, dispositions were defined. So we could do that and admonish. But there are 19 different disposition codes. We could do these one by one. It's kind of a pain in the neck. Or we could use a lookup table. And this is what I wanted to show you. There's the whole deal about the lookup table is explained on this Stack Overflow posting. Stack Overflow talks about how to rename character variables in a column in a data frame, and it goes through all this. I'm going to just break all this down here. They just give us a little example of how to, if we wanted to rename all these into, so we could rename, orange into orange, apple to apple, and do all this thing, and have consistency in your data. That's the main thing. And you can do this in a big group function. So here we are. We're going to build, I built this thing just to show you how I took all 19 terms that the cops had for the dispositions. And I created a little table called a disposition lookup. And basically it's saying that the combination of all of this stuff will be dumped into an object called dispo LKUP, disposition lookup. Abated will equal abated. ADM will equal admonished. GOA gone. HAN handle. I just made these up. I thought they were good. There were no spaces here, so I just put no underscore criminal. Unfound, vehicle secure, blah, blah, blah. All right, so I'm going to just run that. Okay. You'll notice on here that 22 has little quotes around it, and the reason for that is it's a number, and in order for this to operate properly, it has to have quotes around it. All the other characters do not have quotes. So we have now this object called dispo lookup. Dispo lookup. We'll just type in dispo, see what this thing looks like. And you see it's just a little table of definitions of terms. So with that, we're going to now do this huge find and replace operation. And we're saying that using this lookup table, we're going to apply it to the disposition column as characters, and it's going to find all of the ABAs and turn them into abateds. Turn all the CRMs into criminals, the GOAs into GONs. It's going to do all that, and then dump it back into the disposition 1 column. And let's go see what happened. And there we are. Have all the, see, vehicle secure, unfound, all of this, criminal, no criminal, and that aligns with the dispositions here. So it takes a little bit to set up, but the main point is that we can rename discrete text into English and then chart it. And then we'll just look at this here, what this thing will look like. We're going to turn it into a new object called action. We're taking San Francisco. We're counting the new disposition 1 column, and they're arranging in descending order. And then we're going to look at this action thing here. And so it tells us that disposition 1, here are the English equivalents of what we've already done. Handled, advised, found, so forth. And so that's good. But we have a big NA in here. You see that? Number 6, NA. That's 4,389 items. So we have to fix that. That's pretty significant. We just can't blow that off. So we will try to figure out what were all those things. And we're now going to create another action table. We're taking San Francisco. We're going to count disposition 1 and disposition. So there's 2 columns. One has the cop codes, and the other one has our renamed stuff. And then, so we'll get like a double barrel action here, right? Okay, check this out here, and there it is. So we see that handled is cool, advised is cool, gone. These are all lining up, unfound. But the number 6, it was not recorded, and we didn't rename that. That wasn't one of our items in that list of 19 variables, so we have to account for that. We have to go back and fix this thing. So what we're going to do here is first take the not recorded, which has a space, and turn it into an underscore recorded. So we're using gsub, which is another tool to manipulate strings. And gsub was saying, take the not recorded thing and dump it into this. You could call it cat or dog or donkey or whatever. And all of that is happening in the disposition column. And then dump it back into disposition. So that's what's going on here. And then we add it down here as not recorded. Okay. And I'm going to rerun that thing again. We're adding it as a variable back into our disposition lookup table. Okie dokie. Let's see if we got that. Yeah, that worked. Okay. And then we're going to rerun the lookup function. And then we'll just count everything again and see if we got a decent table. Let's check this out. And the action table, now we have number 6 is labeled properly. The 4,339 items are labeled properly, so that's cool. All right, so here is how we've made a less ugly chart. We took action. We're filtering it for items that are greater than 100. We're going to chart it using ggplot on disposition 1 and the count, filling it by the count, and then we're going to put it on this bar. We're not going to show the legend, so we're calling show legend false. So remember this important piece of code. If you want to create more space in your chart and not have a stupid legend, just put show legend equals false. The coordinated flip puts it on its side, and then action on homeless calls, blah, 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 and my name and all this. Okay, so I run that thing. And so here's our chart. So we have now changed all of that cop speak into something people can read and understand. Super important. Handled. You knew this already through the codes, but now this is something that we can share with the people in Stanford, right? Handled, advised, gone, cited, not found, not recorded, no disposition, canceled. So there. That's just a real quick and clean way of getting a decent looking chart. See how this is much more professional, clean lines, easy to understand. You see what's happening here real quickly. All right, so success there. So what I want you to do is to apply these concepts to the original crime type name. So look back at this, San Francisco, original crime type name. You got homeless complaint, you got all this stuff here, you got, and then we got a mix and match of things. You got 311 and 915 calls, 311 and 915, 415 and 915 calls, 601. See all this stuff? We got to kind of clean this up. And we got to try to figure out and translate these crime types to a chart. We've done it with dispositions, what the cops did, but what were the original calls about? That's what we want to figure out. All right. So this is going to deal with some cleaning, right? If you look at the types table, this was a way that we had figured this out. Here's the original types table. We had made this back earlier in the second lesson. The homeless complaints were the top thing, and then 915. And then you see that there's a 915 sleeper. So it's basically a homeless complaint call. It has sleeper, but it's categorized separately because it is not just pure 915. So that has to be broken out. That's our challenge here. So we're going to deal with some of this data cleaning here. And so the first thing I want to do is take the original crime type column, okay, San Francisco original crime type, and convert all the text to lower, and then dump it into a new column called SF Crime 1. All right, so there we go. And then I want to get rid of the slashes. You see there are slashes in here, you know? We're just going to replace those with a blank space. We're substituting the slash for a blank. See, there's a space between those quotes. And the SF Crime 1 and returning that. So I'm running that. And then we're going to replace the apostrophe with nothing. So getting rid of that. And then we're going to fix a space in the homeless complaint, so it's a single word. You see it's homeless complaint. Got that. All going into SF1. And then let's just look at where we are here now with this thing. SF. Okay, so you see we got rid of the slashes. If you hit on this column here and hit filter, crime 1, hit the slash, you find no slashes. Crime 1, you put a apostrophe up here. No apostrophe. Okay, so we've cleaned up that thing. All right. So back here, now we're going to take crime 1 and split it into 2 columns. And the reason we're doing that is there are multiple items in one column. We want to be able to quickly tabulate them using simple formulas. So we're going to take the, oops, move this bad boy over here. Okay, we're going to take the data in San Francisco. We're going to take the column in crime 1, and then we're going to split that into crime 2 and crime 3. So crime 1 will go away, and it will be replaced by crime 2 and crime 3. And we're going to tell it to separate on any blank space, and anything that will be extra will get merged and filled on the right in crime 3. Okay, so this is kind of an intense parsing function, and then it gets all dumped back into the San Francisco data frame. Here we go. We have just now done this humongous cleaning of the data. And let's bring this thing back up. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. All right. So there you go. We have a new crime 2 column, homeless complaints, and then crime 3 has a bunch of different stuff. We'll get to that later, but we're just going to deal with the crime 2 column for the purposes of this exercise. You see how this has crime 2 has all these codes here. We want to translate these codes, and here we go. So now we're just going to build like a little list of categories here. Types 2 is going to be San Francisco counted on crime 2, so that's our new column here, crime 2. Grouped by crime 2 in arranged descending order. See what that types 2 looks like. Types 2 has this crime, so that's types 2 column, table. Homeless complaint, 1,470. 142,780, okay? The 915 is 10,523. We have a little problem here. We have another 915. Looks like they are not consistent. So this 115 here, see these guys? Actually should be part of this total up here. I got drugs. I got another 31 calls that are homeless calls that should be up here. So we'll need to clean that up too. All right. So what I want you to do, here is your question. I want you to take the top 10 categories in type 2. Okay? Top 10, right? 1 to 10. Okay? And I want you to relabel them from those numeric COP codes into English. And we're going to use the technique earlier, build a table to translate cop speak into English. The build the table, translate cop speak into English was all up here. Okay. See how we did that here? Build a table. We did that with dispositions. I now want you to do it just with the 10 top codes for crime. Okay. And here is a little starter idea. You could create an object called clean, and you could say like that 915 is a homeless call. And the 601 is a trespasser. You see I have the quotes here. And keep going, all right? Gives you a starter on how to do that. And then what you'll probably wind up doing is this. I shouldn't have left this in here, but I'm a generous soul. So there you go, and that's how you clean it up. Then you would build another types 2 table from the cleaned up crime data. And then question number 10 is build a chart from this crime 2 data. That is enough to keep you busy. And good luck. Let me know if you have questions. Thanks a lot.